Some people don't realize their life has quietly drifted until they hear a sentence in their own head that feels like truth. I should be further by now. It doesn't sound like self-hate. It sounds like responsibility. It sounds like maturity. It sounds like a normal adult thought. That is what makes it dangerous. Because when a thought feels reasonable, you stop questioning it. You let it become a judge. You let it measure your days. You let it decide whether you are winning or failing before the day is even finished. Most people don't fall apart dramatically. They continue. They function. They post. They reply. They smile. They work. They help others. They carry duties. And in between all of that, the quiet pressure returns. Not loud enough to be called anxiety. Not sharp enough to be called despair. Just a slow weight that makes you feel late inside your own life. If you've been carrying that, don't rush. Don't skip. This isn't content. This is a mirror. The modern world has made this feeling common, but it has also made it confusing. You consume other people's milestones without their context. You see outcomes without the invisible years behind them. You see confidence without the private doubt that built it. You see success without the cost that paid for it. And your mind, trying to make sense of everything, compares your internal struggle to someone else's external proof. That comparison is not just unfair, it is incomplete. And incomplete comparisons create unnecessary suffering. Stoicism begins with one simple refusal: the refusal to live inside illusions. Not the illusion that life will be easy, but the illusion that life is supposed to be fair. Not the illusion that you can control everything, but the illusion that controlling everything would finally make you calm. Stoicism is not a decoration. It is a survival philosophy. It was built for people who needed to remain steady while life remained unpredictable. And that is why it still works now. Let's make something clear before we go further. You're not here for motivation. Motivation rises and disappears. You're here for structure, for mental architecture, for principles that do not expire when your mood changes. So listen slowly. Let ideas land fully. If one sentence feels like it presses on a bruise, that is not a reason to avoid it. That is usually the exact place where your freedom begins. The first Stoic principle is brutal in its honesty. Life does not owe you fairness. Many people suffer twice: once from the event, and again from the belief that the event should not have happened. You work hard and someone else gets rewarded. You behave with integrity and still get betrayed. You do everything right and life still takes something from you. That's second suffering the outrage at reality's optional. The Stoics didn't remove pain. They removed unnecessary suffering by accepting what life is: uneven, unpredictable, and indifferent. Marcus Aurelius lived with pressure most people could not tolerate. He dealt with war, politics, disease, death, and the weight of leadership. Yet his writings are not complaints. They are reminders. He trained his mind to stop asking, "Why me?" and start asking, "What now?" That shift seems small, but it changes everything. The person who expects fairness becomes fragile. The person who expects challenge becomes ready. And readiness is a form of peace. When you stop expecting life to be fair, you don't become cold, you become clear. You stop wasting energy arguing with the universe. You stop waiting for perfect conditions. You stop using injustice as proof that your effort is meaningless. Instead, you build strength that does not depend on reward. You build character that does not depend on applause. And that kind of stability becomes your advantage in a world addicted to emotional reactions. The second principle is the center of Stoicism. Distinguish what is in your control from what is not. Most people leak their life force into things they cannot: command opinions, outcomes, timing, past events, other people's moods, the market of attention, the weather of society. Then they wonder why they feel exhausted. Epictetus taught that freedom begins when you stop trying to manage the uncontrollable and return your focus to what belongs to you: your thoughts, your choices, your actions, your response. Think of how many hours people spend trying to control impressions, trying to be understood, trying to be validated, trying to win arguments that will not change anything. Stoicism cuts through that. It says, your peace is not located in other people's minds. Your peace is located in your own discipline. When you accept that, you stop being dragged by every wave. You become the one steering, even when the sea remains rough. Here is a quiet practice that changes everything. When stress rises, ask one question: is this within my control? If yes, act. If no, release. Not with bitterness, with clarity. This is not weakness. It is precision. It is refusing to spend your limited life force on what cannot be shaped. The mind becomes calmer because it becomes more honest about where power truly lives. The third principle is embracing discomfort as training, not as punishment. Modern culture treats discomfort like an enemy. Avoid it, silence it, escape it. But the Stoics saw discomfort as the gymnasium of the soul. They practiced small hardships on purpose: cold hunger, simplicity, effort, so that when life forced hardship upon them, it would not shock them. Seneca wrote about living temporarily with less to prove to himself that fear was exaggerated. This is why comfort can quietly destroy you. Comfort removes resistance. Resistance is where strength is forged. Without resistance, the mind becomes soft and reactive. A person who always escapes discomfort becomes a person who cannot endure difficulty, and life guarantees difficulty. So the Stoic asks a different question than most people. Not, how do I make life easier? But how do I become stronger? Not in a loud way, in a steady way. Discomfort also reveals something important: the difference between pain that builds you and pain that breaks you. Controlled discomfort is chosen. It is temporary. It strengthens your capacity. Uncontrolled discomfort is often the result of avoidance. The pain of ignoring health becomes illness. The pain of avoiding discipline becomes regret. The pain of avoiding truth becomes a life built on pretending. Stoicism teaches you to choose the pain that trains you, so you don't get trapped in the pain that destroys you. The fourth principle is emotional mastery, not emotional suppression, emotional mastery. Most people believe emotions are commands. I feel angry, so I should act. I feel scared, so I should avoid. I feel tired, so I should quit. Stoicism says emotions are signals, not rulers. The moment you obey every emotion, you become a slave to them. The moment you observe emotion without obeying it, you regain authority over your life. Epictetus said something sharp. Anyone who can anger you can control you. That means your peace can be stolen by a stranger, a comment, a memory, a delay, a single sentence. Stoicism is the practice of making peace harder to steal. It does not require you to feel nothing. It requires you to pause, to notice what is happening inside you, to create space between feeling and action. That space is where freedom lives. Most people don't realize how much of their life is reaction. They react to messages, react to disrespect, react to disappointment, react to fear. And because reaction is quick, life becomes chaotic. Stoicism replaces reaction with response. Response is slower. Response is chosen. Response protects your dignity. You can feel anger without becoming anger. You can feel fear without surrendering. You can feel sadness without drowning. That is not coldness. That is strength. The fifth principle is detaching from outcomes while committing to effort. People collapse when outcomes define their worth. If they succeed, they feel valuable. If they fail, they feel nothing. That is a fragile way to live because outcomes are not fully in your control. The Stoics trained themselves to love the process because the process belongs to them. Effort is yours, intention is yours, integrity is yours. Results are influenced by many forces. When you attach your self-esteem to results, you become desperate. You chase validation. You panic when progress is slow. You quit when the world doesn't reward you quickly. But when your identity is rooted in discipline, you become stable. You keep showing up. You keep building. Not because you're guaranteed success, but because your character requires it. That is how long-term power is formed. This principle directly heals the "I'm behind" feeling, because behind is a judgment based on outcome. But if you shift your measurement from outcome to effort, the mind calms. You begin to ask, did I show up today? Did I improve something small? Did I act with integrity? These are questions you can answer honestly, and honest answers restore self-trust. The sixth principle is understanding time correctly. Many people are not behind in life. They are behind a fantasy timeline. A timeline built from other people's highlights and society's expectations. Stoicism teaches that time is not a weapon used to punish you. Time is a resource used to refine you. The mind suffers when it imagines a deadline that doesn't exist. The mind stabilizes when it commits to a direction instead. Memento mori, remember, you will die, is not meant to scare you. It is meant to wake you. When you remember your time is limited, you stop wasting it on what doesn't matter. You stop sacrificing years for approval you won't remember. You stop scrolling your life away while calling it rest. You become more intentional. Not anxious. Intentional. You begin to live like your attention is valuable, because it is. Time is not your enemy. Distraction is. Comparison is. Delay without purpose is. When you reclaim your attention, you reclaim your time. And when you reclaim your time, you regain the sense that your life is moving. Not because it moves faster, but because it moves consciously. Conscious movement feels meaningful. Meaning quiets the mind. The seventh principle is virtue over approval. Many people feel behind because they are chasing external proof of worth. Likes, praise, recognition, status, but approval is unstable. It is wind. It changes direction quickly. Stoicism teaches you to anchor your life in virtue, doing what is right even when unseen, keeping your word, living with integrity, acting with dignity when no one is watching. When your worth depends on applause, you become controllable. You shape yourself to fit the crowd. You fear being disliked. You avoid truth. You perform. And performance is exhausting. Virtue is simpler. It asks what is right, not what will impress. When you live for virtue, you stop needing the crowd's permission to respect yourself. That internal respect becomes quiet confidence. This confidence is different from arrogance. It doesn't demand attention. It doesn't need to prove anything. It is the calm of someone who knows they are living with integrity. And integrity is something the world cannot steal unless you hand it over. That is why virtue is power. It cannot be purchased, cannot be faked forever, cannot be taken by trends. The eighth principle is inner independence. Stoicism teaches that freedom grows as dependence shrinks. If you need constant comfort, you become fragile. If you need constant validation, you become anxious. If you need constant certainty, you become restless. Inner independence means you can stand steady even when comfort, validation, and certainty are missing. This does not mean you reject people. It means you stop using people to stabilize your identity. It means you stop demanding that the world manage your emotions. It means you become responsible for your inner state. The moment you do that, your life becomes less reactive. You become more stable. Stability becomes magnetic. Inner independence also means you can be alone without collapsing into self-attack. Many people feel behind when they are alone because silence forces the mind to face itself. Stoicism helps you build a relationship with your own mind that is not hostile. You learn to guide it, to train it, to calm it, to return to yourself without fear. The ninth principle is patience with your personal season. This is deeply overlooked. Most people treat life as a straight line. Stoicism treats life as cycles. Growth has seasons. Some periods are visible and fast. Others are quiet, slow, and internal. If you judge internal seasons by external speed, you will always feel behind. But internal seasons are often the most important. They are where beliefs change, where identity matures, where self-trust is rebuilt, where direction becomes clear. These things do not happen on a public schedule. They happen in silence. And silence makes you think nothing is happening. Yet something is happening. Your season is not wrong because it is slow. Your season is not a failure because it is quiet. Some seasons are for building. Some are for healing. Some are for learning. Some are for waiting with intention. Stoicism teaches you to respect timing without becoming passive. You keep showing up. You keep training. But you stop humiliating yourself for not blooming early. The 10th principle is accepting struggle as permanent, not temporary. This principle is what makes Stoicism evergreen. Many people keep waiting for the day life becomes easy. They believe that once they reach a certain level, stress disappears, pain disappears, uncertainty disappears. The Stoics knew better. Life does not become easy. You become capable. When you accept that struggle is part of the deal, you stop being shocked by hardship. Shock drains energy. Expectation preserves strength. You begin to meet problems with a calmer posture because you do not interpret them as proof that you are cursed or failing. You interpret them as training because training is what life is. This doesn't make life bleak. It makes life manageable. It removes the fantasy that keeps breaking people. The fantasy that the future will finally be smooth. The Stoic future is not smooth. It is strong. And strength is steadier than comfort. Now, gather these principles together and notice what they form. They form a different kind of mind. A mind that doesn't demand fairness. A mind that stays inside its control. A mind that trains through discomfort. A mind that observes emotion. A mind that commits to process. A mind that respects time. A mind that values virtue. A mind that becomes independent. A mind that honors seasons. A mind that expects struggle and still moves forward. That mind is what quiet confidence actually is. Quiet confidence is not loud belief in yourself. It is not a motivational mood. Quiet confidence is self-trust built through repeated integrity. It is the feeling of being grounded even when you don't have everything figured out. It is the ability to keep moving without panic. This is why feeling behind is often not about laziness or failure. It is often a signal that your mind is searching for deeper alignment. You have outgrown an old definition of success. You have outgrown borrowed timelines. You have outgrown chasing approval as proof of worth. The pain is not proof you are failing. It is proof you are waking up. Many people try to escape this feeling with speed. They chase new goals to silence the pressure. They jump into projects they don't love just to feel progress. They overwork to prove something to themselves. But that approach makes the mind louder, not calmer. Stoicism offers a slower solution. Clarity first, speed later. Direction first, momentum later. If you want a simple practice today, do this. The next time the thought "I'm behind" appears, pause and ask, behind what? Behind whose timeline? Behind which definition of success? Behind which story? Then ask, does this story belong to me? Most of the time, the answer will be no. And when the answer is no, the pressure begins to loosen. Then ask one more question. What is one thing within my control that I can do today with integrity? Not 10 things. One thing. A small act of alignment. A conversation you've avoided. a habit you've postponed, a simple routine, one honest step. This is how the mind regains trust in itself. Trust is the root of confidence. Remember, you do not become unshaken through one dramatic decision. You become unshaken through repetition, through training, through returning to your principles again and again until they become your default. This is why Stoicism lasts. It is not entertainment. It is a mental operating system. If you're still listening, let that be evidence. Evidence that something in you wants solidity. Not hype, not noise. Solidity. The world is full of loud advice. Stoicism is quieter. It asks you to do less reacting and more choosing. Less proving and more building. Less chasing and more grounding. The world rewards speed and performance, but life rewards steadiness. Steady minds outlast chaotic ones. Steady character outlasts trendy confidence. Steady direction outlasts emotional bursts. In the end, the person who wins is not the person who started early. It's the person who kept building without collapsing. So if you feel behind, don't insult yourself. Don't panic. Don't rush into a life you don't even want just to feel caught up. Instead, return to what belongs to you, your choices, your actions, your response, your integrity, your discipline, your direction. These are timeless. You are not a machine built to produce constant visible results. You are a human being built to grow through seasons. Some seasons look like progress. Some seasons look like pause. Both can be sacred if you keep your principles intact. Do not shame yourself for being human. Let the final message be simple. You are not behind. You are becoming capable. You are training your mind to stop being dragged by noise. You are learning to stand in your own timeline without apology. You are learning to measure life by integrity, not comparison. Take a slow breath now and let your shoulders drop. Let the mind unclench. And repeat this quietly, or write it in the comments so your mind commits to it. I am not behind. I am becoming steady, one day at a time.